Yo, 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 what is up? What's going on? Thank y'all for tuning in to another Daily Fitness live stream show. Yes, sir. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Today is Tuesday. We're about 10 days out from Christmas, maybe 9. But hopefully everybody got their Christmas shopping and stuff done, because I know I haven't. But we still got to get it cracking. But yes, sir, hopefully you're having a good day today, beginning of the week. If you're not having a good day, let me let Mr. Chow go ahead and break it down to you.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
And as long as you did not lose your life and you are still here, that means you still got an opportunity to get up, grind, make something happen with yourself, regardless if things are good or bad in your life, because ain't nothing to it but to do it. Don't complain, just make a change and let's get it. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I have to make sure that the sound was working properly, because last time I had a situation where the sound wasn't playing. Very, very frustrating live stream that day. I had to figure it out the last minute, but we got it good. We got it good. And just to let you know, we're simultaneously streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Rumble. If you're on YouTube and you see that thumbs up, do me a favor, hit the like button. It's greatly appreciated. Get the algorithm out and all that good stuff that you see right there. Did it pop up? I think it did. Maybe it did. Did it? Let's double check. Let's see. There it goes. Yes, it did pop up. So hit that like button. Greatly appreciate it. Get the algorithm out. Get this message out. And also, if you want to contribute to today's show, Cash App and the Venmo. Cash App is Daniel2888. Venmo is Danny-Daniel-00. And we got a good show lined up for you today. Today, we're going to just stick with one simple topic today. I'm not going to talk about nothing else, because I'm going to read a document to you that is basically going to show you the breakdown of the what is it called? The Muslim Brotherhood of the North American Plan that was written or published or whatever in 1991. Oh boy, we're going to see how that goes. Exactly. So we're going to check out this document. I'm going to just sit here and just read it verbatim, because I know people like to read. So I'm going to read to you, because people think that, they don't understand that reading is fun to the mental. So I'm going to sit here and we're going to break this thing down like a fraction and just read everything and see if what we're reading coincides today with what we are seeing and what we'll be seeing in the near future here. Oh boy. Yeah. It's gonna get pretty crazy. So we're gonna see how this thing gonna play out, because they got a plan. And I think they gonna execute that motherfucker. I'm just saying. It's looking like they're on task to execute what they put out to execute. I'm just saying, like, people may feel a certain way, but I think these people are going to execute said plan. Don't kill me. I'm just trying to relay the message, okay? So we're going to also look at some other stuff. But yes, we're going to see how this plan is going and if it's actually worthwhile looking into, or what the case may be. What is this on my screen? Let's get this off so I don't have too much stuff up. Let me make sure I got it on here. Here we go. So without wasting any much time, we are going to look here at this document, and we're going to see exactly what the Muslim Brotherhood North American Plan is, and see exactly how it works from their document. So hopefully it's got some positive stuff in it, but we gonna see how this thing correlates to what we see today with all the stuff that's going on. And we're really gonna know which direction we're headed, because when it's all said and done, I've read a little bit of it. I ain't read the whole thing. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna read this whole thing on a live stream. And from what I was reading, it seems like so far they're up to par, on task with what they're doing. And yeah, I believe there's more documents out there, because the way it's written and what it's speaking on, it says it's an explanatory memorandum, and it says on the general strategic goal for the group in North America. So to my understanding, they're going to have multiple documents in each location, probably each continent, and sounds like they're going to be executing a plan for global domination. I don't think they're bullshitting with this. I think they're really, really for real. And if my intellect serves me correctly, when you look at global domination, and you realize that their global domination does entail, and as I'm gonna read to you later on, it does entail that they seek to propagate Islam universally as a political, social, legal, financial, and religious system. That shit sounds like the Antichrist system, and those are not words I made up. That sounds like Revelations 13, if you ask me, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So you call it what you want, but I'm just calling a spade at this point. If that's your global domination agenda, then oh boy, it's not looking too shabby. I'm just going to say. Yeah, and from people who say they lived in countries in Muslim places, yeah, they said you're very restricted and you're very limited, and if you speak down on their stuff, they gonna have to lay the old shut up. You know what I mean? And to all you LGBTQRS people, just remember, they will throw your ass off of a tall building. They not messing with you people that are of the brokerist tradition. They do not play around with you with gays or LGBTQ. So if you're one of the people that voted in, don't be surprised when you start seeing bodies get thrown off the floor like drowning pool. I'm just letting you know. You're going to see bodies hit the floor thrown from high buildings. Just saying. That's coming from what a dude said on the PBD network. Patrick Bet-David channel, which if I have time when I'm done, I'll actually show PBD where he interviewed a dude who was about the Muslim faith, and let's just say sounded rather mafia cultish, like some mob boss gang affiliated. One way in, one way out. But anyway, without me talking, let's just go ahead and get right into this topic right here, because I'm just going to go right into it and we're going to read it. We ain't going to waste no time. Let's get straight into it. I would give an introduction, but screw it. Let's do it.
Welcome to the economy segment of the show. Enjoy.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing cracking. So let's get this started. So we have the document right here. And I'm going to pull up on your screen and let's get started. Let's move that banner and put this banner up and let's get cracking. So here you go right here is I don't have a cover sheet. I mean, the cover sheet looks like this. So if you can read that, then thank you. Right here it says government exhibit down here at the bottom. So if you know what that says, then you would know if it's true or not. But right here we have the table of contents. You see right here of what each different section is about. Then as we go down here, we see an explanatory memorandum on the an explanatory memorandum on the general strategic goal for the group in North America, 5/22/1991. It says, in the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, thanks to God, Lord of the two worlds, prayers and peace upon the master of the messenger. So that's what we have up there. We got contents and it breaks it down, but we're going to see the contents as we go, so it's no need for me reading that. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and let's just go ahead and get right into it. No time to be wasted. In the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, thanks to God, Lord of the two worlds, and blessed are the pious, the beloved brother / the general Masul, may God keep him. The beloved brother, secretary of the Shura Council, may God keep him. The beloved brothers, members of the Shura Council, may God keep them. God's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you to proceed. I ask Almighty God that you, your families, and those whom you love around you are in the best of conditions, pleasing to God. Glorified his name be. I send this letter of mine to you, hoping that it would seize your attention and receive your good care, as you are the people of responsibility and those to whom trust is given. Between your hands is an explanatory memorandum, which I put effort in writing down so that it is not locked in the chest and the mind, and so that I can share with you a portion of the responsibility in leading the group in this country. Jesus. What might have encouraged me to submit the memorandum in this time in particular is my feelings of a glimpse of hope and the beginning of good tidings, which bring the good news that we embarked on a new stage of Islamic activism stages in this continent. The papers which are between your hands are not abundant extravagance, imaginations, or hallucinations which passed in the mind of one of your brothers, but they are rather hopes, ambitions, and challenges that I hope that you share some or most of which with me. I do not claim their infallibility or absolute correctness, but they are an attempt which requires study, outlook, detailing, and rooting from you. My request to my brothers is to read the memorandum and to write what they wanted of comments and corrections, keeping in mind that what is between your hands is not strange or a new submission without a root, but rather an attempt to interpret and explain some of what came in the long-term plan which we approved and adopted in our council and our conference in the year 1987. So, my honorable brother, do not rush to throw these papers away due to your many occupations and worries. All what I'm asking of you is to read them and to comment on them, hoping that we might continue together the project of our plan and our Islamic work in this part of the world. Should you do that, I would be thankful and grateful to you. I also ask my honorable brother, the Secretary of the Council, to add the subject of the memorandum on the council agenda in this coming meeting. May God reward your good and keep you for his dawah. Your brother. All right, moving on. All right, here we go. At the top, in the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, thanks to God, Lord of the two worlds, and blessed are the pious. Subject, a project for explanatory memorandum for the general strategic goal for the group in North America mentioned in the long-term plan. Here we go. 1. The memorandum is derived from, number 1, the general strategic goal of the group in America, which was approved by the Shura Council on the Organizational Conference from the year 1987, is enablement of Islam in North America, meaning establishing an effective and stable Islamic movement led by the Muslim Brotherhood, which adopts Muslims, causes domestically and globally, which works to expand the observant Muslim base, aims at unifying and directing Muslims' efforts, present Islam as a civilization alternative, and supports the global Islamic state wherever it is. Number 2, the priority that is approved by the Shura Council for the work of the group in its current and former session, which is settlement. Number 3, the positive development with the brothers in the Islamic circle in an attempt to reach a unity of merger. Number 4, the constant need for thinking and future planning, an attempt to read it and working to shape the present to comply and suit the needs and challenges of the future. Number 5, the paper of His Eminence, the General Masul, may God keep him, which he recently sent to the members of the council. 2, an introduction to the explanatory memorandum. In order to begin with the explanation, we must summon the following question and place it in front of our eyes, as its relationship is important and necessary with the strategic goal and the explanation project we are embarking on. The question we are facing is, how do you like to see the Islam movement in North America in 10 years? Or, taking along the following sentence when planning and working, Islam work in North America in the year 2000, a strategic vision. Also, we must summon and take along elements of the general strategic goal of the group in North America, and I will intentionally repeat them in numbers. They are, number 1, establishing an efficient, stable Islamic movement led by the Muslim Brotherhood. Number 2, adopting Muslims' causes domestically and globally. Number 3, expanding the observant Muslim base. And number 4, unifying and directing Muslims' efforts. Number 5, presenting Islam as a civilization alternative. And number 6, supporting the establishment of the supporting the establishment of the global Islamic State wherever it is. It must be stressed that it has become clear and empathetically known that all is in agreement that we must settle or enable Islam and its movement in this part of the world. Therefore, a joint understanding of the meaning of settlement or enablement must be adopted, through which and on whose basis we explain the general strategic goal with its 6 elements for the group in North America. 3. The concepts of settlement. This term was mentioned in the group's dictionary and documents with various meanings, in spite of the fact that everyone met one thing with it. Let me read that again. This term was mentioned in the group's dictionary and documents with various meanings in spite of the fact that everyone meant one thing in it. We believe that the understanding of the essence is the same, and we will attempt here to give the word and its meanings a practical explanation with practical movement tone and not a philosophical linguistic explanation, while stressing that this explanation of ours is not complete until our explanation of the process of settlement itself is understood, which is mentioned in the following paragraph. We briefly say the following. Settlement. That Islam and its movement become part of the homeland it lives in. Establishment. That Islam turns into firmly rooted organization on whose basis civilization, structure, and testimony are built. Stability. That Islam is stable in the land on which its people move. Enablement. That Islam is enabled within the souls, minds, and lives of the people of the country in which it moves. Rooting. That Islam is resident and not a passing thing, or rooted, entrenched in the soil of the spot where it moves and not a strange plant to it. 4. The process of settlement. In order for Islam and its movement to become a part of the homeland in which it lives, stable in its land, rooted in the spirits and minds of its people, enabled and alive of its society, and has a firmly established organization on which the Islamic structure is built and with which the testimony of civilization is achieved. The movement must plan and struggle to obtain the keys and the tools of this process and carry out this grand mission as a civilization jihadist, responsibility which lies on the shoulders of Muslims and, on top of them, the Muslim Brotherhood in this country. Among these keys and tools are the following. 1. Adopting the concept of settlement and understanding its practical meanings. The explanatory memorandum focused on the movement and the realistic dimensions of the process of settlement and its practical meaning without paying attention to the difference in understanding between the resident and the non-resident, or who is the settled and non-settled. And we believe that what was mentioned in the long-term plan in that regard suffices. 2. Making a fundamental shift in our thinking and mentality in order to suit the challenges of the settlement mission. Wow. What is meant with the shift, which is a positive expression, is responding to the grand challenges of the settlement issues. We believe that any transforming response begins with the method of thinking in its center, the brain first. In order to clarify what is meant with the shift as a key to qualify us to enter the field of settlement, we say briefly that the following must be accomplished. A shift from the partial thinking mentality to the comprehensive thinking mentality. A shift from the amputated partial thinking mentality to the continuous comprehensive mentality. A shift from the mentality of cautious and reservation to the mentality of risk and control liberation. A shift from the mentality of the elite movement to the mentality of the popular movement. A shift from the mentality of preaching and guidance to the mentality of building and testimony. A shift from the single opinion mentality to the multiple opinion mentality. A shift from the collision mentality to the absorption mentality. A shift from the individual mentality to the team mentality. A shift from the anticipation mentality to the initiative mentality. A shift from the hesitation mentality to the decisiveness mentality. A shift from the principles mentality to the programs mentality. Jesus. A shift from the abstract ideas mentality to the true organizations mentality. This is the core point and the essence of the memorandum, in parentheses. Number 3, understanding the historical stages in which the Islamic Ikhwani activism went through in this country. I might have butchered that word. The writer of the memorandum believes that understanding and comprehending the historical stages of the Islamic activism, which was led and being led by the Muslim Brotherhood and its group was led by the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm going to start over. The writer of this memorandum believes that understanding and comprehending the historical stages of the Islamic activism, which was led and being led by the Muslim Brotherhood in this continent, is a very important key in working towards settlement, through which the group observes its march, the direction of its movement, and the curves and turns of its road. We will suffice here with mentioning the title for each of these stages. The title expresses the prevalent characteristics of the stage. Details may be mentioned in another future study. Most likely the stages are: A, the stage of searching for self and determining the identity. B, the stage of inner build-up and tightening the organization. C, the stage of mosque and the Islamic centers. D, the stage of building the Islamic organization, the first phase. E, the stage of building the Islamic schools, the first phase. F, the stage of thinking about the overt Islamic movement, the first phase. G, the phase of openness to the other Islamic movements and attempting to reach a formula for dealing with them, the first phase. H, the stage of reviving and establishing the Islamic organizations, the second phase. We believe that the group is embarking on this stage in its second phase, and it has to open the door and enter it did the first time. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brotherhood in North America. This will be number 4. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the words means. The Ikhwan, I think I'm saying that right, must understand that their work in America is kind of a grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Without this level of understanding, we are not up to this challenge and have not prepared ourselves for a jihad yet. It is a Muslim's destiny to perform jihad and work wherever he is and wherever he lands until the final hour comes. There is no escape from that destiny except for those who chose to slack. But with the slackers and the mujahideen be equal. Number 5, understanding that we cannot perform the settlement mission by ourselves or away from people. A mission as significant and as huge as the settlement mission needs magnificent and exhausting efforts. With their capabilities, human, financial, and scientific research, the Ikhwan will not be able to carry out his mission alone or away from people, and he who believes that is wrong, and God knows best. As for the role of the Ikhwan, it is the initiative, pioneering, leadership, raising the banner and pushing people in that direction. They are not then to work to employ, direct, and unify Muslims' efforts and powers for this process. In order to do that, we must possess a mastery of the art of coalitions, the art of absorption, and the principles of cooperation. Number 6, the necessity of achieving a union and balanced gradual merger between private work and public work. Interesting. We believe that what was written about this subject is many and is enough, but it needs a time and a practical frame so that what is needed is achieved in a gradual and a balanced way that it is compatible with the process of settlement. Number 7, the conviction that the success of the settlement of Islam and its movement in this country is a success to the global Islamic movement and a true support for the sought after state, God willing. There is a conviction with which this memorandum disagrees, that our focus in attempting to settle Islam in this country will lead to negligence in our duty towards the global Islamic movement and supporting its project to establish a state. We believe that the reply is in 2 segments. 1, the success of the movement in America in establishing an observant Islamic base with power and effectiveness will be the best support and aid to the global movement project. Sheesh. 2, the second one, is the global movement has not succeeded yet in disrupting roles to its branches, stating what is needed from them as one of the participants or contributors to the project to establish the global Islamic State. The day this happens, the children of the American Ikhwani branch will have far-reaching impact in positions that make the ancestors proud. Wow. Number 8, absorbing Muslims and winning them with all of their factions and colors in America and Canada for the settlement project and making it their cause, future, and basis of their Islamic life in this part of the world. Sheesh. This issue requires from us to learn the art of dealing with the others. As people are different and people in many colors, we need to adopt the principles which says take from people the best they have, their best specializations, experiences, arts, energies, and abilities. By people here, we mean those within or without the ranks of individuals and organizations. The policy of taking should be with what achieves the strategic goal in the settlement process. But the big challenge in front of us is how to connect with them all in the orbit of our plan and the circle of our movement in order to achieve the core of our interests. To me, there is no choice for us other than alliance and mutual understanding of those who desire from our religion and those who agree from our belief and work. And the U.S. Islamic arena is full of those waiting, the pioneers. What matters is bringing people to the level of comprehension of the challenge that is facing us as Muslims in this country, conviction of our settlement project, and understanding the benefit of agreement, cooperation, and alliance. At this time, if we ask for money, a lot of it would come, and if we ask for men, they would come in lines. What matters is that our plan is the criterion and the balance in our relationship with others. Here, 2 points must be noted. The first one, we need to comprehend and understand the balance of the Islamic powers in the U.S. arena, and this might be the subject of a future study. The second point, what we reach with the brothers in ICNA is considered a step in the right direction, the beginning of good and the first drop that requires growing and guidance. I don't know what that means. Number 9, re-examining our organizational and administrative bodies, the type of leadership and method of selecting it with that suits the challenges of the settlement mission. The memorandum will be silent about details regarding this item. even though it is logical and there is a lot to be said about it. Number 10, growing and developing our resources and capabilities, our financial and human resources with what suits the magnitude of the grand mission. If we expanded the human and the financial resources, the equine alone on its own in this country, we and others would feel proud and glorious. And if we add to them the resources of our friends and allies, those who circle in our orbit and those waiting on our banner, we would realize that we are able to open the door to the settlement and walk through it, seeking to make Almighty God's word the highest. Number 11, utilizing the scientific method in planning, thinking, and preparation of studies needed for the process of settlement. Yes, we need this method. We need many studies which aid in this civilization jihadist operation. We will mention some of them briefly. The history of the Islamic presence in America. The history of the Islamic Qawani presence in America. Islamic movements, organizations, and organizations' analysis and criticisms. The phenomenon of the Islamic centers and schools, challenges, needs, and statistics. Islamic minorities, Muslim and Arab communities, the U.S. society's makeup and politics, the U.S. society's views of Islam and Muslims, and many other studies which we can direct our brothers and allies to prepare, either through their academic studies or through their educational centers or organizational tasking. What is important is that we start. Number 12, agreeing on a flexible, balanced, and a clear mechanism to implement the process of settlement within a specific, gradual, and balanced time frame that is in line with the demands and challenges of the process of settlement. Number 13, understanding the U.S. society from its different aspects and understanding that qualifies us to perform the mission of settling our dawah in its country and growing it on its land. Number 14, adopting a written jurisprudence, that includes legal and movement basis, principles, policies, and interpretations which are suitable for the needs and challenges of the process of settlement. That is huge. Number 15, agreeing on criteria and balances to be sort of antennas or the watchtower in order to make sure that all of our priorities, plans, programs, bodies, leaderships, monies, and activities march towards the process of settlement. Adopting a practical, flexible formula through which our central work complements our domestic work. Items 12 through 16 will be detailed later. Number 17, understanding the role and the nature of work of the Islamic Center in every city with what achieves the goal of the process of settlement. The center we seek is the one in which constitutes the axis of our movement, the perimeter of the circle of our work, our balance center, the base for our rise and our Dar al-Aqwam, to educate us, prepare us, and supply our battalion in addition to being the niche of our prayers. This is in order for the Islamic Center to turn, in action, not in words, into a seed for a small Islamic society, which is a reflection and a mirror to our central organizations. The center ought to turn into a beehive which produces sweet honey. Thus, the Islamic Center would turn into a place for study, family, battalion, course, seminar, visit, sports, school, social club, women gathering, kindergarten for male and female youngsters, the Office of Domestic Political Resolution, and the Center for distributing our newspapers, magazines, books, and our radio, our audio, and visual tapes. In a brief, we say we would like for the Islamic Center to become the House of Dawah and the General Center. It deeds for first before name. As much as we own and direct these centers at the continent level, we can say we are marching successfully towards the settlement of Dawah in this country, meaning that the center's role should be the same as the mosque role during the time of God's prophet. God's prayers and peace upon him, when we marched to settle the Dawah in its first generation in Medina. From the mosque, he drew the Islamic life and provided to the world the most magnificent and fabulous civilization humanity knew. This mandate that eventually the region, the branches of the USRA turned into operations rooms for planning, direction, monitoring the leadership for the Islamic Center in order to be a role model to be followed. Number 18, adopting a system that is based on selecting workers, role distribution, and assigning positions and responsibilities is based on specialization, desire, and need with what achieves the process of settlement and contributes to its success. Number 19, turning the principle of dedication for the mazuls of main positions within the group into a rule, a basis, and a policy in work. Without it, the process of settlement might be stalled. Talking about this point requires more detail and discussion. Number 20, understanding the importance of the organizational shift in our movement work and doing jihad in order to achieve it in the real world with what serves the process of settlement and expedites its results. God Almighty's willing. The reason this paragraph was delayed is to stress its utmost importance as it constitutes the heart and the core of this memorandum. It also constitutes the practical aspect and the true measure of our success or failure in our march towards settlement. The talk about the organization and the organizational mentality or phenomenon does not require much detail. It suffices to say that the first pioneer and of this phenomenon was our Prophet Muhammad, God's peace and mercy and blessings upon him, as he placed the foundation for the first civilized organization, which is the mosque, which truly became the comprehensive organization. And this was done by the pioneer of the contemporary Islamic Dawah, Imam Martyr Hassan al-Banna. May God have mercy on him. When he and his brothers felt the need to reestablish Islam and its movement anew, leading him to establish organizations with all of their kinds, economic, social, media, scouting, professional, and even the military ones. We must say that we are in a country which understands no language other than the language of the organizations, and one which does not respect or give weight to any group without effective, functional, and strong organizations. Ooh, wow. 1 second. It is good for fortune that there are brothers among us who have this trend, mentality, or inclination to build the organizations who have beat us by action and words, which leads us to dare say honestly what Sadat in Egypt once said. We want to build a country of organizations, a word of right he meant wrong with. I say to my brothers, let us raise the banner of truth and establish right. We want to establish the group of organizations, as without it, we will not be able to put our feet on the true path. And in order for the process of settlement to be completed, we must plan and work from now to equip and prepare ourselves, our brothers, our apparatuses, our sections, and our committees in order to turn into comprehensive organizations in a gradual and balanced way that is suitable with the need and the reality. What encourages us to do that, in addition to the aforementioned, is that we possess seeds for each organization from the organization we call for. See attachment number 1. All we need is to tweak them, coordinate their work, collect their elements, and merge their efforts with others, and then connect them with the comprehensive plan we seek. For instance, we have a seed for a comprehensive media and art organization. We own a print and advanced typesetting machine, plus an audio and visual center, plus art production office, plus magazines in Arabic and English. The Horizon, The Hope, The Politician, The Ila Palestine, Press Clips, Al Zaytuna, Palestine Monitor, Social Sciences Magazine, plus the art banner, photographs, producers, program anchors, journalists, in addition to other media and art experiences. Another example would be we have a seed for a comprehensive Dawah educational organization. We have the Dawah section in ISNA, plus Dr. Jamal Badawi Foundation, the center run by the brother Hamed Al-Ghazali, the Dawah Center, the Dawah Committee, and the brother Shakir Al-Said are seeking to establish now, in addition to other Dawah efforts here and there. And this applies to all the organizations we call on establishing. The big challenge that is ahead of us is how to turn seeds or scattered elements into comprehensive, stable, settled organizations that are connected with our movement and which fly in our orbit and take orders from our guidance. This does not prevent, but calls for each central organization to have its local branches, but its connection with Islamic Center in the city is a must. What is needed to seek to prepare the atmosphere and the means to achieve the merger so that the sections and the committees, the regions, the branches, and the asras are eventually the heart and core of these organizations, or for the shift and the change to occur as follows. So what we have right here is just a list of things. I don't think I need to read these. You can just kind of look at this and look at this list. I'll go over it slowly so you can see it. So I don't want to read out all these, but you can see it. All right, so we got all those right there. All right, so we're going to move on to number 5. Number 5, comprehensive settlement organization. We would then seek and struggle in order to make each one of these above-mentioned organizations a comprehensive organization throughout the days and the years. And as long as we are destined to be in this country, what is important is that we put the foundation, and we will be followed by peoples and generations that would finish the march and road, but with a clearly defined guidance. Sounds like a trust document. And in order for us to clarify what we mean with comprehensive specialized organizations, we mention here the characteristics and trait of each organization of the promising organization. From the Dawah, number 1, from the Dawah educational aspect. The Dawah and educational organization to include the organization to spread the Dawah, central and local branches, an institute to graduate callers and educators, scholars, callers, educators, preachers, and program anchors in art and communication technology, conveyance, and Dawah. Then you have TV stations, specialized Dawah magazine, radio station, Higher Islamic Council for Callers and Educators, Higher Council for Mosque and Islamic Centers, friendship societies with other religions, and things like that. Number 2, the political organization. A central political party. Oh, wow. Local political offices, political symbols, relationships and alliance. The American Organization for Islamic Political Action, and advanced information centers, and things like that. The media and art organizations needs a daily newspaper, weekly, monthly, and seasonal magazines, radio station, TV programs, audio and visual center, magazine for Muslim child, women, and a print and typesetting machine, production office, photography and recording studio, art bands for acting, chanting, and theater, a marketing and art production office, and things like that. Number 4, the economic organization. They need an Islamic bank, Islamic endowments, and investment projects, and an organization for interest-free loans and things like that. Interest-free loans. Number 5, scientifically and professionally, the scientific education and professional organization. To include scientific research centers, technical organization and vocational training, an Islamic university, Islamic schools, a council for education and scientific research, trains to train teachers, scientific studies in the schools, an office for academic guidance, a body for authorship, and Islamic curricula, and things like that. Number 6, culturally and intellectually, to include a center for studies and research, cultural and intellectual foundations such as Social Science Society, Scientists and Engineer Society, an organization for Islamic thought and culture, a publication, translation, and distribution house for Islamic books, an office for archiving, history, and authentication, the project to translate the Noble Quran, the Noble Sayings, and things like that. Socially, the social charitable organization, they're going to include social clubs for the youth and communities, children, local societies for social welfare and services tied to the Islamic centers, the Islamic organization to combat the social ills of the U.S. society, Islamic house projects, Islamic House Projects, Matrimony and Family Case Office, and things like that. Matrimony. Number 8, things for the youth organization include central and local youth foundations, sports teams and clubs, scouting teams, and things like that. Women organizations, central and local women's societies, organization of training, vocational and housekeeping. Hey, an organization to train female preachers, Islamic kindergartners, and things like that. Organization and administrative duties are to include an institute for training, growth, development, and planning prominent experts in this field. Work systems, bylaws, and charters fit for running the most complicated bodies and organizations. A periodic magazine in Islamic development and administration, owning camps and halls for the various activities. A data, polling and census bank, an advanced communication network, and advanced archives for our heritage and production, and things like that. Security organizations to include clubs for training and learning self-defense, and a center which is concerned with the security issues, for example, technical, intellect, technology, and human disappearance or human trafficking. It just says human. That's weird. Number 12, legally. The legal organization includes a central jurisprudence council, a central Islamic court, and Muslim counties society, the Islamic Foundation for Defense of Muslim Rights, and things like that. And that would be all of it right there. So there you go. So we just read the entire document in its entirety, and boy, oh boy, let me take a breather. That was a lot to read, like 18 pages. So, with that being said, I also came across something else. I feel like this was really interesting too. This is the Muslim Brotherhood in America, Orthodox and Active. And this talks about the School of Advanced Military Studies, United States Army Command and General Staff College, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And this was reported the day of 2012. So I'm going to read this to you. And this is very short, but it's something that I think we should pay attention to, or at least take a look at. It's interesting. All right. So as you can see right here, here's this. If you go down right here, report documentation page. Here's the report date right here. May 15th. The Muslim Brotherhood in America, Orthodox and Active. All right. You got the authors. You got the report form organization's name. And the abstract down here. Okay, approved for public release. Distribution is unlimited, so that's fine. Right here. This is what we're going to read. This little bit right here. Check this out. So here we go. Abstract. The Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin, the Society of Muslim Brotherhoods, or the Muslim Brotherhood, MB, is an international Islamic organization with over 50 national branches. Its motto reflects its Salaf jihadist motives and methods. Allah is our objective. The Prophet is our leader. Quran is our law. Jihad is our way. Dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope. Contrary to the American national narrative endorsed by the media and public leaders, jihad is part of the Orthodox Islam and a fundamental component of Islamic law. The Muslim Brotherhood's goal, strategy, doctrine, and tactics descended logically from the sources of Islamic law, Sharia, which include the trilogy of Sharia, the Quran, Sirah, and Hadith. The Muslim Brotherhood writers are not radicals who have adopted an unusual interpretation of Islam. Rather, they carefully base their strategies from political action in America upon Sharia-compliant doctrines of jihad, holy war, and dawah, invitation to Islam. The Muslim Brotherhood in North America built their goals and strategies upon the international strategies and implemented these strategies through the various front groups established to maintain some secrecy for the Muslim Brotherhood members. The goals, strategies, and nature of the relationship with the Muslim Brotherhood and its affiliate organization in America all work to achieve the international Muslim Brotherhood's ultimate goal. Wow. And that is to establish a global caliphate, a single Islamic state where Sharia is enforced, and the Muslim Brotherhood seeks to propagate Islam universally as a political, social, legal, financial, and religious system. These international goals, as well as supporting goals through our Muslim Brotherhood in America, represents a fundamental threat to the United States and the American way of life. Wow, bruh, that's what they said it does. Whew, that's crazy. Now, when you sit here and you read this, and you notice that they're like doing a global takeover, and they're putting like their God first. Excuse me. They're putting like their God first, and they say it in a peaceful way. But one thing that I did look into was, let me see what we got here. There's a few things that I did look into that was really, 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 really interesting. And it was, where is it at? I have it written up here. The Sharia Council. So whenever we talk about Sharia Council, the Sharia Council is a consultative body that elects Hamas Politburo. It is comprised of members from the four regional shuras elected by Hamas members in Gaza and West Bank, the diaspora, and by prisoners in Israeli jails. These regional shuras appoint regional politburos, the local leaderships for each area. The shuras were initially dominated by religious figures, but now also include an unknown number of political and social figures, including members of Hamas. Shuras is mostly kept secret. So in October 2023, Israel unalived Osama Mazzini, the head of Hamas Shura Council in the Gaza Strip. He was previously in charge of negotiations leading to the release of IDF soldier Gilead Shalit in exchange for 1,027 Palestinian prisoners. Hamas Shura Council is currently led by Abba Omar Hassan. Okay. So yeah, so as you see, their plan is to basically take over the world. Now, it's really interesting when you look at it like this, and it shows it right here, that it says that the goal and strategies and the nature of the relationships with the Muslim Brotherhood and its affiliate organization in America all work to achieve international Muslim Brotherhood's ultimate goal, which is to establish a global caliphate, an Islamic state where Sharia is enforced. The Muslim Brotherhood thus seeks to propagate Islam universally as a political, social, legal, financial, and religious system. Now, we can see that going on now. Like, this isn't a fairy tale. And that was from 2012. The first document I read was from 1991. So as you see, they're on par and on goal with what they're trying to do. And it's really interesting when you sit here and read this. But then you look at this, Revelations 13, and you see right here it coincides with it. It coincides with it so well, because this right here talks about the beast out of the earth, but it's speaking of an antichrist system. The Muslims don't believe in Christ. So right here, the second beast was given power to give birth to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refuse to worship the image to be unalived, to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark, so they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or its number. And it says right here, like, that's the same thing that they're doing or aiming towards, is to implement that upon everyone. So everything goes into a one world everything, one world government, one world everything. Now, when you look into Dawah, this is what it says. It says Dawah is that Islam refers to the act of proselytizing people to Islam, literally meaning to issue a summons or make an invitation. It also issuing a summons. That's one way to put it when you say it like that. And you issue a summons Like, it's different than making an invitation. That's two different things. It also encompasses the duty to encourage fellow Muslims toward greater piety in all aspects of their lives, and is described as inviting others to the religion with respect, courtesy, and kindness. It doesn't sound like they're inviting others to their religion with respect, courtesy, and kindness. That's not what this is. They're not doing that. I can say that from so far from the beginning aspect of it, and then from what I've heard and what I've showed on this show, how they're like hell bent on having everybody be converted to Islam, and they're gonna start with the kids because the kids are always gonna be a victim, but they're going with the kids. Now, looking at all this stuff, it's pretty clear that they're on code for what they're doing. Like, they're on it. They know what they're doing. They have a plan. And the thing that I always look at is they made it clear that it's a holy war. It says it right here in the document, where this is clearly a holy war. They're not hiding that part. It was 3 parts where they mentioned it in here. If I can find it, show it to you again. Where they said, like, yo, this is going to be a holy war for sure. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. This is a holy war. Right, where is it? Right here. Into this thing that I read to you earlier. It's a holy war. They know what they're doing. Now, if this is a holy war, here's my question to you. See, the Muslim Brotherhood writers are not radicals who have adopted an unusual interpretation of Islam. Rather, they carefully base their strategy for political action in America upon Sharia-compliant doctrines of jihad, holy war, and dawah. A holy war. Do you know anything about what a crusade is? You know how many people got their ass straight up burned, decapitated, all sorts of, like just straight out, all out war dealing with crusades. Like, it's a crusade. So you use that word dawah and say it's under respect and kindful and courteous. That's a lie. No. It may start out that way, but it'll get grimy. Now, I have another video I want to show you, because I found this video from PBD podcast, which was interesting, which is very interesting, because as I'm looking at this and I read you that doctrine, he actually he had a dude on his podcast. This was like 2 years ago. All right. So 2 years ago, PBD had this dude on his podcast, this Muslim or Islam guy, and basically spoke to him about, his views on will Muslims run America in 30 years? Are they going to win? Well, if you look at the doctrine of the Muslims of Brotherhood from 1991, from 91 to 2025, we're like, 35 years in on that right there? What is that, 25 plus 10? So yeah, 35 years in. 35 years in. And, they're focused on their agenda and what they're doing. Now, listening to what this dude is finna say, listen to the questions that are asked, and just listen to the response. There's nothing much I have to say to you, because I already read the document. Now you can hear questions being answered, and then the words spoken right out of the horse's mouth. All right? So just watch this right here and just pay attention. I'm going to go ahead and run this right here. So here we go. PBD podcast, or Will Muslims Run America in 30 Years? So here we go.
I lived in Iran 10 years as a Christian family, and we would go to church, and I went to Christian school, and then we escaped and went to Germany, lived at a refugee camp with a lot of different sects from different parts of the world who were escaping. They were either escaping communism or they were escaping not feeling safe, persecution for their religion, what they believed in. They didn't have the freedom, they left. Why is it? This is a question that's been brought up when I'm crowdsourcing what questions you want us to ask the guests that are here today. If it's purely statistical, why are more Muslims moving to Christian nations and not Christian nations moving to Muslim nations. Why do you think that is?
It's economics.
All right, so we just read the document, right? We just read the document to see why they're moving. So you know why they're moving. They want global domination. And I don't know if you heard, but his first words were economics. Let's go ahead and let him speak. But I just want you to know, we just read it, but let's go ahead and let him talk.
And not Christian nations moving to Muslim nations. Why do you think that is?
It's economics, pure economics. If you look at Christians that move to Saudi and the Gulf, there's a huge influx of Christians from the Philippines, from Africa, from Eastern Europe that flock to the Gulf countries, Muslim countries. Why? Because of GDP, because of the economy. The influx of people of all religions and cultures to the US, to Australia, to Europe, it's purely because of economic opportunity, not because of there's some kind of better way of life. The way of life in the US, and I can talk to you because you lived 10 years in Iran, the culture of traditional societies, especially Muslim societies, is much more conducive to family. It's more of a family, community-based life as opposed to an individualistic, rat race, everyone is out for himself type of lifestyle that you live in the West. And that's because of the hegemony that we're talking about, because of liberal secularism, because of this pursuit of happiness at the expense of all else.
Okay, so if we just go back to the document here, I mean, he's basically going off of this. If I could find exactly where everything is, which would be kind of hard for me to do, hard for me to find. But right here, is it right here? The mentality to, let's see, where he spoke on it, he said this. No, it wasn't this right here. But basically what he's saying is in line with this right here. I mean, he says it's economics. That could be part of it because usually money is a thing. And also, he also mentioned that if you want to speak economics, we can say that right here. The goals and strategies in the nature. The goals and strategies in the nature, down here. Sorry. The goals and strategies and nature of relationships with the Muslim Brotherhoods and its affiliate organizations in America will work to achieve the International Brotherhood's ultimate goal, which is to establish a global caliphate, an Islamic state where Sharia is enforced. The Brotherhood seeks to propagate Islam universally as a political, social, legal, financial, and religious system. These international goals, as well as supporting the goals sought to the Brotherhood in American, represent a fundamental threat to the United States and the American way of life. So their whole goal for sure is to bring a global thing in. And he's he's going right off of this for sure. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's lying. He's not. I mean, economics is one thing, is part of it, but it's also all the others when you sit down and go through this. And I wish I could find where that thing was where they mentioned said thing, but I can't find it. It'll be too hard for me to find as I go on to this. Or maybe I can find it right here. No, I can't. No, I cannot. But as you can see, they have everything that he's speaking on does play off of this right here. Everything does play off of this. And when we get to the part where, let's see, there was a part in here where they spoke very detailed about America in here, not just the concept of settlement, but also understanding Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believer so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious of all other religions. Now, he's not saying this. Here it is. This is it right here. He's saying economics, but this is the true meaning. That their work in America is kind of a grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believer so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious. That is the main thing right there. They're coming over here to conquer the West. And it's not a thing of why Christians don't go to a Muslim country. It's that the Muslims come to other countries and, well, at least according to this document, they're coming to another country to dominate. Because then this other guy is going to speak on how restricted and how closed in it is to live in a Muslim country, which I can't speak on. I can only go off of what this next guy's going to say. But we go off of what he's saying, listen to how he puts it, but also you can see the way he's speaking. It's crazy. It really is once you see it. They're not like technically lying. It's just that people aren't paying attention. Here we go.
When you have a religion that values family, marriage, look at the divorce rates. Look at how, I have 5 sons of my own. I'm very worried about, will they even be able to find a wife who will be faithful to them and who will want to have children, my grandchildren, who will be faithful. Look at the divorce rates. Look at the infidelity rates. Look at all of the social problems that are infecting Western societies. Why is that? I'd argue it's on the basis of leaving traditional Christianity, leaving traditional Islam, reforming these religions. That's the problem. Look at someone like Reza Aslan. You interviewed him,
I had him
right?
on, yeah.
And you had a brilliant comment. You said that, Reza, when you're talking, I feel like you're an atheist. You're arguing, I don't think that you're actually a Muslim. Like, you're not talking like you're a Muslim. You're talking like this progressive, liberal, atheist type person. And that's what's happening to everyone because of these political forces. And we have to resist that. We have to resist those kinds of influences in order to preserve marriage, preserve family, preserve community. That exists in the Muslim world, but it's being eroded.
So why are you still here? Why are you in America? Why don't you go to a Muslim nation?
I would like to do that, but the thing is that the West has declared war on every traditional society. If you don't implement Western style liberal human rights, quote unquote, like you don't legalize homosexuality, you don't legalize transgender, you don't legalize feminism, all these things that are destroying marriage and family, we're going to bomb you. We're going to sanction you. We're going to starve your people. It's not safe for Muslims to be in Muslim countries. It's not safe for traditional Christians. Traditional Christians quoting the Bible within Europe are being put in prison for quoting the Bible. They'll literally quote a verse from Leviticus, or they'll talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. They're put in prison.
All right, so this is 2 years ago. This is 2023. What we know now about Europe, I mean, what we see now in Europe, I mean, I don't live in Europe, so I can't speak on if people got put in prison for reading a Bible or quoting Leviticus or whatever. I can't speak on that. Like, I can't say if he's telling the truth or lying on that. But what I can say now is that a lot of immigrants are in Europe right now, the UK or the EU, whatever you want to call it, and let's just say that now they're trying to implement a digital ID onto people, and the people are fighting back. They're sending stuff out to the members of parliament and stuff like that. Now they're telling them they don't want it. They're fighting for it, which they've been doing before. But what's crazy is that the digital ID, it goes in line with their ideology. You know what I mean? So like, their global ideal of domination and ruling, how we just read right here in this document right here, it's a Muslim's destiny to perform jihad and work wherever he is and wherever he lands until the final hour comes. And there is no escape from the destiny except for those who slack. But with the slackers in I can't say that word. So it says it right here. Like, their whole thing is to conquer the West. He's saying that the West is fighting to put its liberal mindset on the rest of the world, which you can say that, but at the same time, when we're looking at this document, that interview was 2023, bruh. This document is from 1991, and they're even going far back as to talk about things that they have been planning since 1987. They've been having conferences since 1987. So there's no way in hell what he's saying is true when this plan has been put into fruition. I mean, ironically, as soon as the USSR dissolved, everything starts to go from over there and comes over here. Like as soon as it dissolved, because remember the USSR dissolved in 1991. Clearly, they probably saw the writing on the wall on that side or whatever, and was like, well, we got to get over to the West and put this in the West. I mean, this is a well thought out strategic plan. This isn't a new plan that they've had. This has been in the works for some years. Like I said, it was written in 91. They've been talking about it since 1987. Hell, they were probably talking about it since 1977. To be quite honest, I mean, how far back can you go? So he's saying that this mindset was put in place, but it's like cause and effect. Was the mindset put in place to cause what Yuri, the KGB officer, Yuri, I forget his name, he spoke on the immoralization of a civilization, of a society. When you make a society immoral, then it'll take a long time to undo, but by that time, it would be ready to be conquered. It'll be ready to be taken over. And he said that America was demoralized. The word was demoralized. Demoralization. America, he said, was demoralized from like back in the 80s. He said there's a chance that you can still, fight this, but it's like once it's in the schools and the people start fighting and wanting communism to come to their country and stuff like that, he says, he's like, it's really nothing you can do at that point. People won't understand it until it gets in the forefront and slap them in the face. And once they actually feel the slap of communism in their face, it's over. Like they won't, that's when they'll realize it's real. But until then, they're so gone, there's nothing you can do to save it. So if that's been going on since way back when, this plan was put in place knowing that this situation was a prerequisite to implement this. So he could say what he wants to say, but at the end of the day, when you look at everything, it's basically conquering from within. Because remember, this is what I always say. I always say that the same playbook they used to conquer Russia or to bring in USSR, from 1917 with the Bolsheviks revolution, turning it and then turning it into USSR and all that stuff. I always said the same playbook they used over there, they picked it up and brought it over here and then, added technology and stuff with it. So now, what they did over there, this time now, you add the technology and the AI and all that stuff into it, is going to be hella bad this time around, because they even mentioned it in this document. I can't find it. But they said that if you can get a country like America and take over America, you have the rest of the world. Because remember, the USA and the USSR, or Russia before it became USSR, those were two superpowers of the world. They took one down. Now they're over here to take down the other one, the last remaining superpower. So what he's saying, it's like, nah, bruh, that don't line up. What he's saying doesn't line up, because this plan is well thought of way before hell he was even probably born. Me and him. But let's continue.
This is a war on all traditional religions, and there's not a safe place for a traditional religious person in the world today because of this dominant global power.
So your argument is economy, capitalism, a capitalistic society. So then the question would be, why don't Muslim regions accept the principles of a capitalistic free society to be able to attract other Christians? Because when you hear some stories, but I got that. Brother Rashid, do you have a response to him on this question? Specifically, the question I'm asking, why do Christian nations attract Muslims, but Muslim nations not attract Christians?
He said economy is the first reason,
yes.
but other reasons exist too. I have seen so many Saudi girls leaving Saudi Arabia, going to Canada and the US and the UK, asking for asylum because they don't have the same rights and they are forced to stay as a second-class status. Women is not treated well in Muslim countries. I have seen people who are leaving Morocco and other places because they don't have freedom of speech. And if you say anything against Islam in Egypt or Morocco, or for me, for example, why I left Morocco. I love Morocco. I would love to live among my family, but I left not because of the economy. I was doing well, but because I don't have freedom of religion. And there are many countries that are like that. If you open the borders in Europe and the US, you have almost probably, I can't guess, but like probably 90% of Muslims will go to the West, not just because of money. It's because of other reasons. They are oppressed there. And our brothers, they have their solution to what will live is not what I am here. Of course, we have a problem in the West, but the solution they are given is worse than what we have today. For example, LGBTQ, whatever, they will kill them if we bring, let's say, let them govern with Islam today. They will throw them from a higher building. That's their punishment. I'm not with that. I'm not either this, the two extremes, either this or that. Islam is not going to give a solution. Why we have human rights in the West? Why everything we are enjoying today, it came from the West. For example, women's rights came from the West. Abolishing slavery came from the West. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion came from the West. You name it. Just give me anything. Democracies came from the West. So they want us to live under an authoritarian system, and you cannot even question it. And if you say anything against it, you will be condemned to death. For example, if I say Islam is not the right way to God, I cannot say that in a Muslim country. I will be punished for that. So we are enjoying freedom of speech, freedom of religion, democracy. We can say our opinion. We can have a podcast like that without a problem. Guess what? In Morocco, when I became a Christian, we met as Christians in closed doors. We couldn't sing. We couldn't baptize people. We couldn't name our kids Christian names. You cannot name him Luke or Mark or anything. You have to name him Muhammad and Omar and Abu Bakr. You can't name them Christian names.
This is not true.
It's true. I lived it.
All right, so if you paid attention to all that he said, right? The only thing he stopped him on and said this is not true is when it came to Christian names. He didn't say anything about anything else that he said. The only thing he allegedly debunked was the Christian names. That's it. He didn't every other thing else he said. He was over there on the cell phone like he was like LGBTQ. Yeah, we gonna throw them off of buildings. Yeah, that's true. He's like, yeah. You want to practice Christianity? Yeah, we ain't having that. Yeah, he's right. Okay, and what you want to baptize somebody? A Christian? Nah, we ain't doing that either. No. He said the women don't live a good life under Islam. He was like, no comment to that. The only time he spoke up was when it came to you can't name somebody a Christian name. Everything else he let slide. But let's continue.
It's not in Islamic law. Okay, do you know Ahkam Ahlul Dhimma? Do you know the principles?
I'm not Ahlul Dhimma. I'm an apostate.
Yeah, you don't talk about other Christians. Christians can name their children.
Okay,
you lived in a Muslim country.
Okay, let me finish.
You be named Patrick, or was that against the law?
Let me finish. I am a convert from Islam to Christianity,
That's
and
different.
I had hundreds like me, girls and boys. We were gathering. We were afraid of police. And we got arrested many times. We got interrogated.
So let me get this straight. So I want to understand what both of you are saying. So for us, I was born in a Muslim country. My name is Patrick. My sister's name is Paulette. You're saying if a Muslim converts to Christian, you can't just name your kids anything. You have to name them those specific names.
Yes.
And you're okay with that? You think that's normal?
I said something even more than that. I said that the punishment is death penalty.
God dang. That fool said, hold on. Wait. It's not that you just can't name that. It's like, bro, we gonna straight up, we gonna whack. And bro got the smile on his face after he said that. Like, look at this dude. Look at his eyes, bro. The eyes don't lie. Good Lord. Like, this should tell you everything you need to know. After I just read you this document, like, this episode should tell you this document is old. As you see right here, the general strategic goal of the Muslim Brotherhood group in North America was approved by the Sharia Council back for the year of 1987. So they've been on this. It got approved in 87. So they've been talking about this for a long time. So dude here is like, yo, like, about that Christian name. Yeah, we ain't feeling that over here in Muslim. We gonna have to hit you with the... have to change that name up a little bit, bruh. But let's continue. We got a little bit left. Guys, this fool's smiling. Straight demon time over here. All right, let's let Patrick talk again, and then we'll make sure we got it right. Uh-oh, I had it muted. Here we go.
Let me get this straight. So I want to understand what both of you are saying. So for us, I was born in a Muslim country. My name is Patrick. My sister's name is Paulette. You're saying if a Muslim converts to Christian, you can't just name your kids anything. You have to name them those specific names.
Yes.
And you're okay with that? You think that's normal?
I said something even, more than that. I said that the punishment is death penalty. So forget it. That's what we talked about
at the beginning. Right? Apostles, totally get it. So for you, it's not even your level for that is for somebody to go. But why is that?
But that's not the treatment of all Christians.
So I totally get that. But
Jews.
Why do you believe that? Why do you believe if a Muslim becomes a Christian is the death penalty? Why do you believe that? Well,
this is what I want to explain is that, first of all, this is found in every religion. It's found in every culture. The idea that you have to have punishments for defection, meaning that if you abandon the group, you are threatening the group. And that's why every business, every university, every society has community guidelines, for example.
Yeah.
If you violate the community guidelines, it's not called blasphemy, it's called a violation of community guidelines. You're expelled from that community. You face consequences.
Yes, you face consequences from that community, like communism in a sense. Group. He's saying group, he's saying community. So far,
But it goes beyond that because you have restrictions on your speech, right? We can't look at this YouTube channel. I can't say certain things on this live stream. Otherwise, the video will be banned. Your channel will get in trouble, and then you can be prosecuted. You can face all kinds of consequences. Again, go back to your Glenn Greenwald interview, your interview with Whitney Webb. Look at the power structures that restrict speech. They restrict thought. Why? In order to preserve the power structure. Every religion has this. Traditional Christianity, that's why heretics were punished. That's why apostates were punished in Buddhism.
Let me ask a follow-up on that.
Sure,
so when you say to me, I've interviewed almost any of the major living mobsters. I've had them on the podcast before. I don't know if that's your stuff that you would watch, but I've interviewed a lot of them. Sammy DeBull, Michael Francis, a lot of these guys. Okay, so I can see you with your last name. Yes. Yeah. So when I interview these guys, one of the things that they have, and Sammy is he says, look, I'm a mafioso. I'm a true mafioso is what I am. Till today, he's in his late 70s. He still says that, right? If you step away from the life, you could get killed if you step away from the life, right? Okay, you chose this life. You celebrated when you become a made man. Now you want to leave? You got the benefits of being a made man. Now you want to leave? We're going to take your life, if based on the principles that they followed. But that's the mafia. For somebody that may say, well, then Islam is Islam following some of the mafia philosophies that if you choose to leave, you deserve to lose your life? Don't you think
That's a good question. That's a damn good question. I'm curious to see the response.
A bit extreme?
I would say the problem with the mafia is criminal activity. It's not with this principle. This is a good principle. That's why they're able to be so organized. That's why they're able to be so successful.
That's the argument.
And you have...
Exactly. Patrick said, okay, that's the argument. they're criminal, we're good. Oh my God. Oh, wow. He said, okay, that's the argument. They're criminal. You're good. Like, bruh, that. And he stands on, and again, the smirk, the smile on his face. He ain't stupid. He know what he doing. He know. Like, if I rewind it, he's still smiling. If I rewind it just a little bit, he's still smiling. No, he ain't smiling no more. But he's smiling. He's smiling. He's happy about what he knows. He knows. Patrick said the mafia. I'm gonna let him say it again.
To lose your life? Don't you think that's a bit extreme?
I would say the problem with the mafia is criminal activity. It's not with this principle. This is a good principle.
So it's principles versus criminal activity. So then what he's saying is they don't commit criminal activity. Muslims or Islam doesn't commit criminal activity. They're based off of principles. And the mafia was based off of criminal activity. So we're good and you're criminals. Even though what we do is similar when it comes to leaving the gang. The mafia, I guess you would say mafia is a gang or whatever organization, whatever. He's saying that Islam, like, well, we do the same thing, but we do it under principle. You guys do it under criminality. Hey, bruh. Brutal. Let's keep going.
That's why they're able to be so organized. That's why they're able to be so successful.
That's the argument.
And you have nations that are run in the same way. You have to preserve the nation by punishing defection because it threatens the unity of the group. It threatens the way of life.
That's tough, though, man. That's that's
the law. That's what exists.
I totally understand that. All I'm saying is that's tough because, okay, so let me get to more the business side, the next side.
Let me just add a little bit to it.
Go for it.
I will be killed, my kids will be taken, and my wife will be taken. Just to add to the list in an Islamic system.
Let me continue with this. Let me continue with this a little bit because this is getting interesting to me.
He didn't disagree. He didn't disagree with what that man said. Once again, he didn't disagree. The only thing he disagreed with him on so far were the names. And even then, he said you could get put to death for your names, depending on the situation.
So,
bro, when I found this interview, I was like, bro. And I remember he had a debate with Andrew Wilson recently, so that's how I recognized him. But when I saw this interview, I was like, oh, I got to put this interview together with the Muslim Brotherhood document just to show you hand in hand how this stuff works. This interview was crazy because it's like in his mind, he's saying that the West is waging war and the West is bombing people for stuff, which I can't say yes or no to, because as from what we've heard, Obama has bombed a bunch of places and God knows for what reason. You know what I mean? Like, no. I mean, you have to know all these little hidden secrets of America. So if that's what they see from America and we as regular people don't see it, and they're waging war on America now, but they're doing it from within. But my question is this. When you think about this ideology that he has, right? You have to ask yourself this question. When it comes to the powers that be, they're having a conversation on Christianity and Islam. My question is, how many people in government are actual Christians or are they atheists? Do they believe in a God or do they worship money? That's the $1 million question. Because if they don't believe in nothing and they worship money and profits, they can go to either side. Whoever got the highest amount of money, that's the side they gonna go on. That's the $1 million question you have to ask yourself. You know what I mean? That's why at the bottom line of everything, there needs to be something greater than yourself, or else you're gonna worship something materialistic. So when you think about this conversation he's having, look at how rooted he is in his belief. I'm not knocking him for that. He's rooted in his belief. He's like, yo, this is what we do. This is the law. We'll kill you for this. We'll kill you for that. And that's just what it is. Sorry if you don't like it. I commend him for that. Now ask yourself this question. In your country, when it comes to your government, the people who make decisions and laws and rules, your politicians, your city councils, your teachers who teach your children, all this stuff. Are they Christians? Are they atheists? What drives them? Because if it's just money, then it's like they don't care if it's Islam or Christianity that does anything. As long as the money good, they good. That's the $1 million question you have to think about at the end of the day when it's all said and done. But let's continue. Here we go.
If in insurance, there's two ways to build, or real estate, there's two ways guys build their real estate and their insurance companies. Let me explain this and you'll see where I'm going with this question. One is there's guys that steal from other people, okay? And they'll say, oh, you train those guys, I'll take your agents. You train those guys, I'll take your agents. You're getting 60%, I'll give you 80% if you come to my company. So their entire business model is to take from others, right? And then they're always capped because somebody else is not going to come and say, he gave you 80, I'll give you 100. And then so now they go to a different guy. And then the other guy will say, yeah, he gave you 100, I'll give you 110. Then they'll realize there's only 130. So how much more is left to do? I'll give you 115 if you come to me 5 more. Okay, I'll come to you. And then eventually you're stuck. You're not going to go anywhere, right? Okay. So these agencies are not baptism agencies. They're converting agencies. I'll convert you to me by me giving you a better life or better heaven or better, dream that I'm selling to you, right? For me, the way I see it is and then the other side is guys that recruit people from other industries and they make them realtors. So I'm working at Sears. You should consider getting a real estate license. I convert you. You're a nurse. You should think about being a realtor. I become a realtor. So you understand the two examples I'm giving. I'm recruiting other realtors. I'm converting somebody into being a realtor. Hence, religion, Muslim. I'm targeting Christians to convert them. No, I'm converting people that are, becoming Muslims, or just we're having more kids, and that's how we're going to grow a religion. Okay. So the criticism and fear that a lot of Christians will say, non-Muslims will say is, if we go the way we do right now, one day Muslims are going to run the world. Do you not fear that? And you'll hear that. Okay. And by the way, it's a fair argument because right now the number is, give or take, the Muslim population worldwide, I think, is around 1.7 billion. And it's expected by 2060 to grow by 74% to 3.1 billion. Today, they're 24.1% of the world population. By 2060, you'll be 31.1%. These are some real numbers that they're increasing. And Christians will say, well, are you not worried about that? Are you not worried about that? Are you not worried about that? Okay. So then my argument becomes, because I'm a data guy, Muslim women have 2.9 kids per woman. Christians are around 2.5, 2.6. Non-Muslims are 2.2. And the replacement game, you need to have 2.1.
Yeah. So
2.1 is a replacement game. 2.2 is non-Muslims. Christians are 2.6, and then you have Muslims leading the way 2.9. By the way, in the 90s, you were at 4.3, 4.5. In 1990, 1995, 30 years ago, you were at 4.5, 4.3. So where am I going with this? So where I'm going with this is, if this goes the way it does, and they do what they do, it is very natural that the Senate, that Congress, that House, that governors are going to be ran by Muslims. Right now, you have 3 that are there. You mentioned the names earlier. There used to be 1 in the past. That's 4. But we had 82 in the midterm election who are Muslims that got elected to city, state, different kind of jobs that they had record-breaking ever, right? So if I don't look at it from the faith standpoint, if I don't look at it from the religion standpoint, if I don't look at it from the argument of who's right, who's wrong, Muhammad, Jesus, if I don't look at it from there, I would simply say their strategy of growing is kicking Christians' tail. So then Christians can either sit there and complain about it, or they can do something about it. But Christians don't want to have that many kids. Christians are not having 4, 5, 6 kids. He has 5. You said you have 5 sons? 5 sons? Okay, he's got 5 sons. I don't know how many of you have 5 sons at this table. I got 2 and 2 girls. 5 sons is going to be the rest of us, right? If he's going to keep having these kids. So what is your solution as a Christian? And I'm purely talking business right now. The business of religion is what I'm talking right now. According to the business of religion, they're going to win. And there's nothing Christians can do about it. By the business, you can sit and argue the faith all you want. They're getting their people and their kids baptized because their job isn't recruiting Christians to become Muslims. They've only converted 20,000. That's not a lot. It's not a big number. But they're getting more kids, and they're raising their kids with the loyalty to the parents, and they're following that faith, and they're growing bigger, and we're not doing that. What are your thoughts to that?
That's a very, very good point. Sheesh, that is a hell of a point. The family unit is everything. That is, I mean, that is even in your Christian Bible. Like, the family unit is everything. And if you destroy the family unit, everything else crumbles. And you see why. Because then another religion, another whatever you want to call it, deity or whatever, can come across and, conquer you to an extent. However, it just depends on how radical they go. Because according to what the other dude said you can't, if you live in a Muslim society, you can't be a Christian. They won't allow it. You can't baptize people. You can't, be a Christian. You can't sing Christian songs. Like, you'll be trapped in their society, in their way, which I in turn say, in the end of it all, when you look at the Muslim way of life, if it's correctly explained, or how it's explained, I'll say how it's explained in this situation, where the guy said that if you're Muslim, women are treated a certain way, gay people get thrown off of buildings, like the way you dressed, and how everything is under a authoritative control, and you can't step outside of God or anything, or outside of Allah, or however everything works, like the laws. Like, if you step outside their laws, they kill you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That makes for a perfect situation to place a one world government when it comes to legal, when it comes to finances, when it comes to political, when it comes to all of the above, when it comes to religion, social, legal, and finances. That makes a perfect one world government to implement and use AI as the reasoning for all databases around the world. Think about that. That makes for it, because then the law in itself has harsh, strict punishments and has no problem killing you. And if you implement the AI system with that program of Antichrist in it, because you're not going outside, because you can't go outside the system, because they won't allow you to be Christian or any other religion. You're stuck being one religion. So then that would be an Antichrist system, because you can't worship any other God except one. And this is what it says right here. It says it right here. It forced all people. As a matter of fact, no, let's go back a little further. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And the second beast was given the power to give breath to the image of the first beast. If you are if the second beast gave image and power to the first beast, that means that there's an AI system, and then that AI system was given the power of reasoning to give an image to. You can make any image of an AI, and then you can give that AI a voice. And then so that image could speak and cause all who refuse to worship the image to be killed. This argument that they're having of trying to implement Islam globally across the world and be set up in a situation to where the Muslim Brotherhood ultimate goal is to implement Sharia law on everyone. And according to what these people are talking about, and this guy has not like debunked or argued with the other dude when he spoke on it, and say they'll kill you if they'll kill you if you're a Christian. They'll you'll get punished. They'll take your wife, your children, your kids. Like, he didn't debunk any of that stuff. He didn't debunk none of it. Only thing he said was the names, and even in the names, he said, yeah, we'll still kill you, but it just depends on the situation. So within that system, it's an it sounds like an antichrist system. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like an antichrist system. It's a perfect system to implement to an AI system that runs everything socially, digitally, financially, and religiously. So therefore, you'll be restricted on what you say, what you do, what you think, what you dress, what you wear, what you hear, everything. And that would be the perfect system to set up for an antichrist system, because you won't be able to get out of it, because the laws of the Sharia laws that are enforced seem like, because I don't know anything about it in super detail, but going off of what we're doing here, it seems like they're so strict that you can't be a Christian or do anything via Christ, because it would be technically an antichrist system. That's crazy. Let's continue. Here we go.
Well, if you're asking me what the solution is, obviously Christians have to recover a sense of their faith and a sense of what's at stake. Because what you're talking about will happen if this continues is that the United States will look like Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Iran. Those were not always the heart of the Islamic world. Those were conquered and Islamized. And the Christians were, like Rashid was saying, were made second class, made subject to all kinds of humiliating and discriminatory regulations, and had to pay a special tax that's specified in the Quran, chapter 9, verse 29. And they ultimately, most of them in those areas, and in North Africa, other areas like that, many of them thought, why am I suffering this and having to live in this way? All I have to do is convert to Islam and I can live a decent life. And most of them did. And so you have areas that were 99% Christian and now they're 99% Muslim. And so people don't realize, they look at Egypt and they say, well, that's the Islamic world. They don't realize that these things are always in flux and that exactly what happened there is beginning to happen in the West. And so I think that if Christians were to come to realize what's at stake, which would be extraordinarily difficult given the amount of propaganda and falsehood that's spread about these issues in the mainstream, then they might begin to realize that they need to take.
What's the solution, though? What's the next steps? What is the...
Real quick, I must say this. If you go right here, it says the beast was giving mouth to other words of blasphemies that exiles his authorities for 42 months and opened the mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place to those who live in heaven. Now remember, Islam and Christians, for some reason, one believes in Allah and Christians believe in God. However, Allah means God, but they don't believe in the same God. That's just what it is. So when you look at this, if you were to put, and this is just me just trying to put stuff together, because to me, when you look at it this way, I mean, I hate to say it, but it makes sense. It opens his mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name as dwelling place in those who live in heaven. It was given the power to wage war against God, holy people, and conquer them, and it was given authority over every tribe, language, people, and nation, okay? It was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation, which is the one world government that we're talking about, which Islam could be the conqueror of via AI. All inhabitants on earth will worship the beast, all whose name have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, and the Lamb who was slain from creation. Whoever has ears, let them hear. If anyone is to go into captivity they will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword they will be killed. This calls for patience, endurance, and faithfulness on the part of God's people. So PBD is talking about numbers in business, which it just said in the Bible that the beast will have authority over everybody on the earth, and it's going to cause for patience, faithfulness, and endurance on part of God's people, which means that if you're a believer of God, you're going to have to endure. That's what it's saying. It doesn't say Allah, it said God. Let that sink in. Just let that sink in for a second. Just think about it. When you look at it from that point of view, it to me, it makes sense. But my question is, I haven't read the Quran, so I always wonder, because I've heard people say that you have the Quran, you have the Bible, And when you have people who talk about these two books, they say that some people who are I've heard people who say who are Islam or Muslim, they say that the Quran came in and corrected the Bible. But then people say that in the Quran, it'll say go back to the scripture. And people say that when it says go back to the scripture, they are referring to the scripture as the Bible. So it's saying that the Quran didn't correct the Bible. The Bible is a scripture that the Quran is supposed to go back to, which is the original. But, you know, there's two different conflicting understandings of it. But the Bible does say, judge the actions, not the words. So when I look at actions, the actions fall in line with this. You know what I mean? Like, the actions fall in line with this. It was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants on the earth will worship the beast, and all whose name have not been written in the Lamb's book of life. The Lamb who was slain from creation of the world. Is right here. Let's continue. Let's keep going and see what these guys got to say. But when I look at it from that perspective, it seems like Islam will be the one to bring in the one world government, to bring in it seems like it that they're the ones to bring in the 666. Because you have to do everything according to their law and their rule. And it's the perfect religion to do so because of how tight and how knit they are. And especially after what this dude said, the way he just laid it out, it makes perfect sense. How Islam would be the perfect religion according to how these Muslims of Islam move. Because it is said that Arabs are to Islam as what Europeans are to Christianity. So, you know what I mean? Not all Muslims or followers of Islam are bad people. That's not that not all of them are bad people. Just like all Christians are not good people, all Islams are not good people. You got the bad ones. But when you look at what he said, Islam, the way these people are moving with it, they'll be the perfect religion to bring in the 666 mark of the beast one world government. It just makes sense when you look at it. But let's continue.
The solution from your standpoint.
They have to have larger families, certainly, and have to meet the dawah, the proselytizing initiatives, and be able to answer all the objections, to show the inhumane aspects
but
of
Christians
Islam.
are not that united. These guys are united.
Exactly.
So Christians are competing against each other. Muslims are more united.
No, I disagree to that. We have Shia, we have Sunni. They are fighting each other.
I
They're
agree.
killing each other.
Fair enough, yes.
And so they are not really united. And if you go to Salafis, they will make the Sufis as mushriks.
But would you agree that Sunnis and Shias are united at least in the values?
No,
not necessarily because, you know, the cousin or, you know, that's the history part where who got the passed down. I'm talking purely values and philosophies.
You know what? Muslims will claim we are 1.7, and when you ask them details, they will be Ahmadis are not Muslims, Shia are not Muslims, and you will find just the guy in his mosque at the end instead of 1.7. I lived that. When you really scrutinize them, you will find just the guy in his mosque. They are the ones. Actually, Muhammad said his people will divide to 73 groups. And one of them only go to heaven. So 72 of them, they're just like kuffar. They are not really Muslims. So let's go back to that.
However, it doesn't take that many to bring in a one world 666 mark of the beast civilization, especially when you can utilize AI for reasoning of a religion that will bring in the conquering of a entire planet globally, because the Muslim Brotherhood goal is a global takeover. And the way that guy spoke on how Egypt was taken over, and I think it's in Morocco, how Egypt is, how it used to be to the way it is now, how it became Islamicized or Islamicized, whatever the word he used. It seems like these people who are pushing the Muslim Brotherhood or the Islamic rule globally are the ones that are going to bring in the 666 mark of the beast. And if you take that from what I've showed you, utilizing all the data centers and all the data around the world, and then you give AI the reasoning of programming it with that strict religion, with control of finances, social, and I forgot the other thing, then you have a very tight-knit system, which in turn is antichrist. So let's keep going. We'll go for a little bit more, then we're going to wrap this up because I'm about finished.
A replacement rate, for example, in some countries like Iran is below 2.1. In Turkey, it's below 2.1. In others, they are below that. So there is a huge drop. For example, in Morocco, I think it was like 6.9, and now it's like 2.8 or 2.7. So next generation will be below replacement rate. So they will suffer also from.
You believe that? So you believe their numbers is going to go below the Christian replacement?
I will believe they will drop because we have so many challenges, economy, so many other things. And another thing, they don't count how many people are leaving Islam. We don't have statistics. I have statistics, for example, people who write to me, according just to my show, from Morocco, from Algeria, from Iran, for example, so many people are leaving to atheism, to Christianity, to other worldviews. In Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, so they don't count that. I still count it as a Muslim in the 1.7.
Yep.
And
I feel what he's saying. I get where he's coming from. I don't mean to cut him off. It does. I mean, what he said is true. However, it doesn't matter when they can get their hands on global domination of the AI system that will slap the mark of the beast system and have the AI reasoned with all the data centers combined. If they get you a digital ID and then they get all the data centers and get all of your data, what's your health, what's your finances, where's your social media. Okay. Oh my God. Here it is right here. Look, if you can get the data centers to grab hold of, hey, what's up, Randall? How are you? Sorry, man. I'm like all in it right now. If you can get all the data centers, right? And you can get a data center to get your, if you can see me down here, if you can get all the data centers of the world, right? Because everybody is like connected with social media and all of our stuff is digitally now. So also our finances are going to be pretty soon all digital. Right now, we're all connected off of social media. All our legality is in a legal database. I mean, is in a digital database. Religious stuff is going to be all in the digital. So all in your politics, all of this is already in the digital world. I think the last nail in the coffin is the finances. Everything else is already digital in the in like the database, in the cloud. All that is already there. They just need all of the databases to be compromised into one, and then you put all of that information into one database, have an AI reasoning. If the AI reasoning is of this Islamic faith that this guy is talking about, the other dude, where, you know, how they rule with an iron fist, then that is a antichrist system. Point blank, period. Because dude over here is not, he's like I said earlier, he wasn't tripping about like, hey, they'll kill you for this, they'll kill you for that, they'll even kill you for your name. It just depends on, you know, the situation. Like, he didn't argue with anything else. So technically speaking, that's an antichrist system. And I think the way it's looking, hopefully I'm wrong, it'll be under Islam. And like, again, like I said, not all Islams are bad. Not all Muslims are bad. All the Christians are bad. But you, of course, you got, you know, your radical ones. You got your bad, just like Christianity. You got bad, shitty, fucked up pastors out there everywhere. You know what I mean? So it goes with anything you do. Everything has good and bad to it. Everything has polar opposites. But I think that the Islam is going to be the religion that'll be implemented in the AI for reasoning when it comes to an antichrist system. It only makes sense whenever you look at it from that perspective. Let's continue. We're almost done.
Many people like me. So if they give freedom and we do real surveys, we will have the number less. Another thing, what Islam is left? The West forced Muslims to abolish slavery. to not practice the real Islam, like amputing hands and feet and crucifying. They are now forcing them to have one wife. So Islam, the version of Islam in the Muslim world is not really what they are preaching. So what Muslims do we have? According to their standards, probably most of them are kafir.
And not only that, it's because of the death penalty for apostasy that this is unreported. But also there was a survey, and people did answer the anonymous survey recently in Iran. Only 40% of the population identified as Muslim. Now that's extraordinary, and it shows how inhumane Sharia Islamic law is.
Who ran that poll? Who?
I don't remember who ran it, but it's easy to find. We can look it up
Rob,
here.
can you look it up?
1979 to now, we've had Islamic law in Iran, and now 60% of Iranians have rejected Islam. That's because they've lived it since 1979, and they realize how much they don't like it.
Yeah, I just want to comment because they're talking a lot about the supposed disunity amongst Muslims, as if you don't have that in Christianity, right?
Oh, yeah, you do.
You do, right? So, Rashid, I know that Robert here is Eastern Orthodox. He used to be Catholic. What denomination or sect of Christianity do you belong to?
Because we are converts in Morocco, we don't follow anything. We just follow.
I'm saying,
the
like, do you go to a specific church?
I went to many. Orthodox, Protestant, I don't care.
Okay, so anyway, my point is you have the three main sects in Christianity, the Protestants, the Catholics, the Eastern Orthodox. Historically, they fought with each other over very, what from the outside people would think, well, why are they fighting over this? I mean, today, the Orthodox and Catholics are fighting over doctrines like the Filioque, whether or not the Holy Spirit proceeds forth from the Father and the Son, or the Father alone eternally, and they're completely divided on this, and call each other heretics and all kinds of stuff. So to act as if, right, there's this division among Sunnis and Shia, when, as I think Patrick rightly pointed out, we have much more in common in terms of our actual values. We differ in terms of certain historical doctrines, but that's another story. On the other hand, you have so many different sects within Christianity, so many different denominations, all of them disagree and consider each other to be heretics. So for you to make that accusation and critique of Islam, I just don't think is correct. It opens up.
Look at the history of the Catholics versus Protestants in Europe. Over 5 million killed in the wake of the Protestant Reformation. So, I mean, that's that applies to Christianity more than Islam. But going back to Patrick's point.
Buddy might have a point on that one. I would have to dive deeper into that one. But yeah, if you're still fighting over each other. Oh, crap. I didn't even show the video. Oh, my bad. Well, hopefully you heard it. Hopefully you're listening. Sorry. But, yeah. Hopefully you were listening, because I sure did forget to put it up on there. But, yeah, he made a good point. I wish I would have put that up there. My bad. But he made a good point. And, I mean, as long as you believe in values, you really don't have to, you really got to stand each other to get along. As long as the values are the same. When you look at the history of how the Jewish people move, they probably didn't agree with each other's values 100%, but they probably didn't agree with each other 100%, but the values they still rock with, and they're still able to dominate the world when it comes to banking. So there's that. Yeah. Last little bit, then we're done. Sorry. I just had that playing.
Is that you want to grow your numbers and grow the Christian population. I want to help Christians grow, because I think a world that has more Christians is better than a world that has more atheists. But how can you have more Christians when you don't really believe in the Bible? We have the seeds of the destruction of Christianity right in this podcast, because when you look at the way that Robert and Rashid describe the Bible, they describe it as a book of fables, and it can continue to evolve.
I didn't say that.
This is going to cause apostasy. This is going to cause a decrease in faith. Like, why should I take Christianity seriously when it just evolves and it changes over time? I can't connect my practices and my beliefs as a Christian today with the historical Jesus. So why am I going to maintain myself as a Christian? And then also the whole theology, which we haven't discussed at all today. Like, the 95%. Monotheism is 80 to 90% of the world believes in monotheism, in one God. And monotheism is a central, crucial, the most important part of Islam, the belief in one God without partners. He is not like anything. This is a very powerful belief that 80 to 90% of human beings profess in this day and age. And Islam represents that in its theology and emphasizes that in its theology. But if you have a Trinity, or you have a theology that is not really clear, is Jesus God? Is there a Godhead? Is there this other system? Do we go by the Catholics, or do we go by the Orthodox? Do we go by the Protestants? You don't have a consistent theology. Sunnis and Shias, they all agree on monotheism. God is one. He is not like anything. They agree on the Quran. Yeah, there can be some theological differences and nuances between different schools, but there's not the same kind of disparity or variance between Christian sects and this idea of the Trinity, which frankly no one can understand. Like, what does it mean to be three in one?
Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that.
All right, yeah, he actually had a good point. I can't even knock him on that. I don't want to hear this dude's response, but he actually has a pretty good point. I can't argue with him on that. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there because I got stuff I got to take care of. But, yeah, man, I ain't going to lie. That dude made a very good point at the very end. I can't knock him on that because, yeah, when you look at Christianity today, it is getting progressive. You do see it getting progressive and polluted and polluted with feminism. Like, you see it, you know what I mean? So I can't argue with him on that. He got a good point. I can't hold him on that one. He made a very valid point. You do see Christianity going into some feminism, which is crazy. Yeah. Can't knock him. He made a good argument to close this show out. So I don't know. I still think the Antichrist the Antichrist system could be in the way I said it. It still doesn't change the fact that it would be an Antichrist system. But what they said is true. I can't knock them. Christianity is getting, when you look at churches and big churches and stuff like that, Christianity is getting progressive, which is crazy to see, but it is a true thing. So, yeah, I would have to dive deeper into this, but I got to get out of here, man. That's going to be it for today's show, man. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that because I sure did do a hell of a lot of reading, and I'm glad I was able to find this PDB podcast because this was a good one to watch it with. So yes, sir. So thank y'all for tuning in, man. We got to get up out of here. We will catch y'all tomorrow on the next stream. So hopefully y'all stay tuned and we will catch y'all later. So we up out of here. Take care. Love you. Have a good one. Peace.
Thank you for watching D. Elliott Fitness live stream. Goodbye.
By the dream, the game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. Don't wait no nigga and I'm top in the booth playing beats. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. Don't wait no nigga and I'm top in the booth playing beats. Counting cash and smoking green, can be blow cloud like a smoke machine. She got no steam. Bumblebee ass, y'all know it's thing. I plug your bitch like a 6-string. Jordan with the bitches got 6 rings. Smoke till my bitch split screen. The fresh with pain pills and sipping lane. Riding dirty, but I'm extra clean. Lyrics nice, but I'm extra mean. All-star, heavyweight like Wolverine. The bitch nice like she Wolverine. I flip money like Clover G. Gang hustle like TIP. Star baby like DIG. Acronym like KRIT. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock. Don't wait no nigga and I'm in the booth playing beats. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My hard shit where your artery. Cutting up, who sharpens me? Rolling up accordingly. Pulling hoes, no sorcery. Rapping like y'all forcing me. If I ain't right, then it's forgery. Nigga selling to the rock like a floor beat. Lyrical monster on the Lord of Beats. Text nigga, my bitch Georgia Peach. Pimp tight nigga, I do more than cheat. Cold like D-Wade, I ignore the heat. Bitch, on my way, hit the short police. Money jumping like a nigga on my sneeze. Cause the bad James get me on the beat. Bitch, I'm always winning like what's the fee? The game on like it, I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but it's the only thing I'm chasing. The game